This is Sucker Free Production, brought to you by Sucker Free University. In this episode, I want to talk about options and how important options is in your everyday life, and then how important it is to incorporate options in your goals and all your goals, and how strategic options are in when you're trying to progress in life. You know what I'm saying? Even when you have a main goal and you have tunnel vision on one main thing, it's always good to have A, B, and C, different options available to yourself, just in case one thing don't go right. And in life, more than likely, your plan will never go exactly how you predicting and projecting it. So it's always good to have different options. That way, when something don't go right, you always got a backup plan to keep your thing moving forward. Even if it's not at a fast pace, the whole thing about it is keeping a steady pace. So that's what options is very, very important, because a lot of times we get a plan and we determine to do it. We got a plan and we determined to do a thing, but we don't never incorporate that life is life, and everybody got a plan. Like life got a plan for us. So you gotta. A lot of times we in our plans we incorporate the best scenario, the perfect situation, and really don't leave no options on the table for ourselves. And a lot of times, and the majority of times when we go at it, even if it start off good, we always run into some type of roadblock, and it kind of stagnates you if you don't have other things in play that can help assist in what the main objective is. So I just came from, me personally, I just came last week. I came from completing a 30-hour ocean class down at City Hall, and that's me keeping my options open. You know what I'm saying? As far as what in my main skill that I like to do, which is construction. At the end of the day, my main objective is to pursue my own business, putting out my own media, and establish my own brand through the Sucker Free University and other Sucker Free things that I have going on, as far as with media and different things, dog, animals, all type of things, culinary, all type of things. Sucker Free. I'm branded. That's my number one thing, branded Sucker Free. But at the same time, I still got to supplement my business until it pick up and start 100% paying for itself. So in that time, I keep my options open, and keep furthering my education, and keep refreshing my education and my career with construction. So I just did the 30-hour ocean class down at City Hall. Shout out to Miss Kathy and Affirmative Action. I did the 30-hour course, ran right through it. And that's just me keeping my options open and keeping the door open for myself to keep myself qualified and keep myself relevant. That way, when certain doors and certain other options come apart, my name will be in that pile, in that list of working forward to pursue my number one dream, which is media and establishing my own brand and helping others establish their brand as well. But in the meantime, my hands-on, my 9 to 5 is construction. That's what I enjoy doing. That's what I like to do. And I was thankful enough to be able to catch the OSHA class, because that was something I had on my checklist. Get a refresher on OSHA, and I was able to obtain that through affirmative action. So I was able to get that, and now the ball is rolling. I got other things in the work with affirmative action. They've been helping me ever since. You know what I'm saying? And we got things in the work, so we moving forward with that. And that's just something to, of course, help me first help me assist with, day-to-day life, but mainly put towards what we in front of right now, my media and things that I want to do with my brand. So that's just one thing with keeping your options open, and not just, okay, I got my own business, I got my own this, I'm just going to do that. But at the same time, life is life. Still got rent, still got child, still got bills, you know what I'm saying? At the same time, and at the end of the day, the business is not really supplementing it all the way right now. So you got to keep your options open. You got to keep doors open, leave nothing on the table. You know what I'm saying? So that's just me, one instance of me keeping my options open and not just putting all my eggs in one basket. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I don't have faith in myself, because that's definitely not the issue. It's just me being strategic and being smart about my options, and knowing at the end of the day, I got to keep everything going. I got to connect on all dots, keep it moving. You know what I mean? I got the business that's moving. Consistency is my thing. It ain't about me showing and proving right now that I got a big brand. Now I'm building, and people see me working, so that's good enough. You know what I mean? I'm getting progress, but at the same time, I still got bills and responsibility. And with the construction, it definitely supplements that and take care of that. So that's me keeping my options open. And then as it progressed, my goal with the construction is move up into a carpentry labor. You know what I mean? Keep moving up into the ladder until I get into that carpentry union, what I'm looking for. Excuse me, that's what I'm looking for, and keep it moving and progressing my career with the construction. Never say I'm doing this and I can't go work for nobody because I ain't trying to listen, because I already got my own businesses, and at the end of the day, it looks good on paper, but at the end of the day, it's all for me. It's about revenue and what is bringing in. So at the end of the day, I got my own, and I still work for somebody, but at the end of the day, I incorporate it all into my own to keep it moving and still keep that paper trail going to when I need to bust some major moves as far as getting loans for cars, houses. I got the paper trail through the job that can, things of that nature. But that's just me keeping my options open on that. And that's something that we all should do. Keep options open no matter what we doing. It don't gotta just necessarily be about a job. It could be about anything. You could be doing something like, I'm gonna use dogs for instance. Like I'm into the dogs, so I breed bullies, right? So my thing is, I like the American bullies. I never was really into the little dogs. This is all back to me and what I can give you, for example, in my life. I'm into the American bullies, the bigger dogs, you know what I'm saying? I never was into the smaller dogs, but a friend of mine came and he had the Frenchies, and at first, I was just looking at them like, they look good, but they look good for you know what I'm saying? That's your thing. And, bro was like, promoting it to me, like, nah, bro, I'm telling you, this the wave, you know what I'm saying? This a couple years ago, before the Frenchies really hit down in the hood. He really was like one of the first that, you know what I'm saying, had a wave. Shout out to Hondo. So anyway, you know what I mean? He pretty much was like promoting it to me. So anyway, we ended up working. I ended up getting a female off his first litter, Nicki Minaj. I ended up getting a female, a black brindle off his first litter. So I'm an animal lover. I love animals. So it's not just about the money for me. But of course, I'm a businessman and I like money. So I want to make some money. Now, if the bullies, I'm just it's just my passion. So I'm just putting in, looking at development of the dog. So when I link up with Bro and we get the Frenchies, we do a breeding or two, and now we seeing money. So now this is just the option. This is just an example of me keeping my options and not being closed-minded to where at first I was closed-minded to the little dogs. Like, man, I don't like them little dogs. This is not for me. I'm too big to be, I'm a grown-ass man. And that's me in the beginning. And bro laughing like, bro, I'm telling you, this the wave, bro. You talking about that. You can still keep your bullies. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Hondo. You can keep your bullies, but this going to bring the bag in. And sure enough, that's what it was. Now, I mean, that's an example of me keeping my options open and not staying closed-minded to the fact that at first, I didn't like them little French bulldogs. They was too little for me. Then once I got in and had it for a year or two, now I feel like life is crazy without it. Like, I need it, you know what I mean? I'm going to keep my bully, but I need the Frenchie too. I mean, so that's me opening my mind up, and that's another thing about sometimes it's hard to explore your options if you got a closed mind. That's the example of me keep having to opening my mind up and exploring my options in the dog because I love animals. So it wasn't like I hated the dog. I just felt like everything that looked good ain't for you, and I felt like that was something that looked good that just wasn't for me until I had possession of it, and I opened my mind, opened my options. Open up my options to see like, damn, it's not a bad. I mean, the dogs is cool. They like a big dog in a little package, and they bring in revenue. So it's like the dog was taking care of itself, and that's what it is for me in business in the beginning. As long as it's taking care of itself, it ain't no financial burden for me. So that's what she was doing for me. Thank you, rest in peace. But that's what she did for us. She paid for herself and my other dogs. You know what I'm saying? One dog paid for, you know what I'm saying? So it was cool, and it was a pleasure to have it. It grew on me to now I'm interested in obtaining another French bulldog, just of me having my options open and not thinking, not staying in that box. So that's another example. And in my personal life, me keeping my options open, not staying closed-minded, starting off closed-minded, not staying closed-minded, and opening up my options, and I got a blessing. You know what I mean? I got a blessing. I ain't, that's just one example. So like I said, for people, that's something you gotta always be open to exploring different options, and always have a goal or goals, but always try to knock down one goal at a time, unless your other goals they connected to the main objective. But sometimes you gotta not stray away, but sometimes you gotta sidetrack and do other things to accomplish the main objective. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get to. So you gotta always, you can't, I do this, so I ain't doing that. I'm already doing this, so I'm gonna do. You gotta always, even if you don't do it, it's always good to obtain the knowledge. That way you can have the option to know, to explore. If you don't know, you display, you putting yourself in a box. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, in this world and today, there's so many ways to get paid, and by having your options open and not being subjected to one thing, it's always good to have one or two things that you specialize in, like your main go-to. It's always going to be the thing. It's always going to be good to have one or two things that you specialize in, but you got to keep your options open, because there's always things going on around you that you're missing out on that you could easily obtain, but you just don't know. So that door be closed. It's a lot of things and a lot of people making money in front of your face that could be your money, that you can get some of. Legitimately, seriously, you got to always be in the know. Always keep your options open. Never think nothing is too small or beneath you, because it all add up if you keeping it moving. If you know what I mean, if you got you a routine and you getting yours, it all add up. So make it add. You got to make it add up by keeping. It's not going to add up on a consistent basis by not having options. You got to even with the working class people, you gotta, whatever you do, you gotta always be trying to do other things to make it, especially in today's age. You gotta always exercise self options. What are you best at? You know what I'm saying? If you somewhere working and you stagnated and you at a job like you working and they take care of your bills, but you feel like you want to do, it's something else for you to do. You're not feeling self-fulfilled. You got to sit back and take the time to be self-aware and realize, what are you good at? What options what's available to yourself? What do you like to do when you ain't thinking about nothing? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? You know what I'm saying? Well, when you ain't thinking about nothing, when you ain't trying to think about something to do, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when it pertains to yourself? Find out what that is, and then start exercising the options. Exercise the options that come along with who you are. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's you might just be on some lazy shit, like you just want to lunge around in your days off. Well, start going to these different stores and start laying in these beds, start promoting, seeing what's the most comfortable beds, what's the most comfortable couches. Exercise options for yourself. And today you can always make things happen. You got to just find out. And you can't let nobody, just because they doing something and you doing something different that they're not doing, it don't mean nothing, because today you can really make something out of whatever you do. Like I'm saying, if you just one of them people, you a chill, you a homebody, or you a person that just like to lounge around, go to these stores. Like, hey, I'm doing a vlog, I'm doing a podcast about comfortable beds. You know, I'm a homebody person. I go around on my off days and go in stores and, basically lay on couches and lay on beds to see what's the most comfortable for my social media. It's just something to do, you know what I mean? And then you start meeting, it's something interesting. Now you done built a community of people. It's weird, but it happens. Like me, I like birds, I like animals. I also like gardening. So my thing is with the university, it's not just a name, it's a brand that I'm trying to bring everything that I like into one central station, and we network. And then we film through the production company. So that's me keeping my options open and I'm not just doing the Sucker, it's this whole brand. Sucker Free University is just not the brand, it's just one entity. But that's what we're gonna bring everything together, and it's gonna be different people. I'm just giving you a little bit of my inside brand. It's gonna be different people, not just myself teaching at the university, bringing their expertise. People I learned from, and people I done taught that done learned more than me, and that's, you know what I'm saying, that could bring something to the platform. But all that'll be getting filmed through Sucker Free Productions, and it's all, building a brand, building awareness that I can stretch through all social media, platforms, and then push it right back to suckerfreeuniversity.com. And that's just me keeping my options open and keeping it moving for myself, and that's where I'm trying to get eventually. But in the meantime, between time, real life, right now, at this very second, I still have to finance it. It brings in a small amount of revenue, but for the most time, it's me going to work, putting money into it. So that's me going to get the OSHA 30 now, thanks to Affirmative Action, Miss Kathy, once again. That's me going out there getting a refresher, getting recertified, and having to get, you know what I'm saying? Because now, when I go on this construction site, along with my experience, I got the safety course through the OSHA 30 that says I'm certified, know the safety guidelines. That's a big thing. Safety first, not just in construction. It's with anything you're doing, whether you cross the street, crossing, you know what I mean, tying your shoes, safety first. So that's a big thing on the construction site because, you know, you're not safe on the construction site. It can be fatal. So that's one small thing that a lot of people overlook, but it's really, when you be technical, that's something you need to go on the construction site. So I got to refresh in that, got that. That's me keeping my options open on the working site. Then, you know, and as the time go by, like I said, I'm trying to work my way from one union to the next. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me keeping my options open for more experience, for me to transfer into my own business, my own construction business, and me getting more of a payday instantly so I could put into my personal brand. So that's just me keeping my options open. But my options, it ain't gonna be your options. You gotta find out what works for you in your everyday life and what your goals is, and apply that shit. Make it work for you. Don't hesitate. You do little stuff. You don't gotta do big stuff. It's free to get the LLC and the EIN. Start with that. You get that, and then you start doing research. You can DM me, stay sucker free on Instagram. You can DM me, and I just walk you through it. But you just take little steps. It ain't nothing big, but stay consistent no matter what you're doing. And like I said, this is all about having options open. You know, even if you're not the bigger communicator. I mean, communicating verbally, like talking to a person one-on-one or on the phone, because I don't like the phone, but I don't mind communicating. But it's something about the phone, I just don't like it. You know what I'm saying? But even if you're not a big communicator like that, communicate through your actions. When you do things, you like a magnet to people. People come to you. So if you're not a big person on talking and shooting the shit and, you know what I mean, that's not your thing, that's all good. It's better to talk through your actions anyway. So talk through your actions and let those people come to you. You might not be a big talker, but you might get somebody who might see your work ethic. They might have the same or not the same work ethic, but they can talk. You know what I mean? That's when a corporation come in. But they can, you know what I mean, communicate for you, and y'all can incorporate together. So sometimes, most of the time, it's not. You don't need to talk through your mouth. You can talk through your actions. You communicate through your actions rather. Communication rather than talk. You communicate through your actions rather than just talking about what you do. You just do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's more of an option you get because people see you a doer. You know what I'm saying? It's different talent. Some people do got the talent to run their mouth and make it sound good, but then some people got the talent to help the people who run their mouth get the job done and keep the ball rolling. So it's all, you know what I mean, you gotta incorporate. And that comes from keeping your options open. That when I'm saying that, say sometimes opposites at first don't attract. They gotta realize they are compatible for each other. Sometimes it might be a person, he might be silent, he might be the one to get the job done, but this guy might do a job, but it might not be like the silent one. So the silent one might naturally be, I don't like this nigga, he talk too much, he need to just work. But not knowing, we could work together, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? We could get the bag together, you know what I'm saying? You just got to know how to bring it together and not deal with pride and deal with the bigger picture sometimes. And know the bigger picture is money. Y'all only here because of money, you know what I'm saying? Somebody getting money off of, y'all getting money, but somebody's getting a bigger bag off of the work that y'all doing. So at the end of the day, sometimes you need to figure out how you can get that bag, even if you're not that type to get to that level, or I'm not trying to run a business. You can still put the pieces together to where you can get a percentage of what you do and still play the position you play. But that all come from communicating. I believe that's episode 6 on mine. Don't hold me to it, but I think communication is episode 6. You got to communicate sometime, and not all verbally through work, and people come to you. People always going to come to the one who get it done versus the one who talk about getting it done. So that's just keeping your options open and not being closed-minded to personalities and opposites. They say opposites attract in a lot of ways. It do, and you gotta just sometimes you gotta just sit back and realize how you can make situations work for you. You know what I'm saying? That's all. You know what I'm saying? You might be the type on the job, you might know the safety guidelines, but you ain't. Honestly, I've been on the job with a lot of people. They know what's going on, it ain't right, but they ain't the type to say nothing. Know what I mean? But then you always got a person on the job site who willing to speak up. And then you gotta know how to, all right, he willing to say something. Hey, look, bro, you know that ain't supposed to be like that, bro. You like, you know what I'm saying? I don't really, you know what I'm saying? I don't really know how to go to him without being aggressive, but I know you know how to talk to him, brother. And that's how you know what I'm saying? Keeping your options open instead of just sitting there knowing it ain't right, then waiting for something bad to happen. Then you like, man, I knew I should have. But you wait till something happen, then y'all all sitting there sad, like, damn, that's crazy. Like, you know what's crazier, bro? I seen it, but I don't really fuck with niggas, so I ain't really. That's a no-go. So you gotta always be willing to communicate to keep options open. You know what I'm saying? Communication is the key. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta always be willing to communicate to keep the options open. That's one way of keeping options open. Like I said, the other way is actually doing. That's the main way, actually doing. The options fly open without you even knowing, by you just getting things done. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta always keep your options open rather than closed. Even if it might be situations where you gotta, so to speak, bite the bullet and do things, or not do things, deal with people you don't necessarily want to deal with. You can't let your feelings and emotions get involved with certain things when you bettering yourself. Like, and that's due to life circumstances. When you trying to better yourself, it's always gonna be you come across people who gonna say stuff and do stuff to try to hinder you. But you gotta look at who you are, what you've been through, or better yet, where you trying to go, and realize you just a stepping stone. And I'm not gonna allow you to stop my progression, because I done been there. I done allow myself to stop my own progression by thinking somebody else was getting in my way, but I really was in my own way, because you can always just step around. You can always, like I said in another one of my episodes, a person can't argue with themselves. You can just keep it moving. Aggression is the laws. When you sit there and try to go back and forth with a person, you lost. Instead of, saying what you gotta say, keep it positive and keeping it moving. That's the whole thing. And anything negative, you leave it where it's at. And you just gotta keep it, you know what I'm saying? Keep it like that, keep it cool, calm, and collective. But that's one, you know what I'm saying? Your demeanor also open options and close options for you. Sometimes if a person see you got a calm demeanor, things will come your way. You know what I'm saying? Things arise for you when people see you more the chill type. You can absorb certain things. You know how to react to certain situations. You more observant. You know what I mean? More tolerable. More seasoned rather. You know what I'm saying? Versus a person who impulsive. They can't hold their tongue. They more of a liability. You know what I mean? They too much of a compromise to any situation, including themselves, number one. But overall, they too much. So situations come out of that. A person might think they showing strength and showing dominance by always vocalizing and jumping to this situation and jumping to that situation, but really they showing, they really a goof. I mean, I'm just gonna say a goofy, but one of them, a follower, or like a flunky, a stunt dummy. One nigga like, yo, do this. And he want to prove it, or they want to prove themselves so bad they gonna do this and try to enforce this. But at the end of the day, bro, you ain't. I'm saying you expendable. You expendable. Never. This is something. I mean, I've come to learn, and I could be wrong, but this is something I've come to learn. You never just volunteer your services. You never just volunteer your services. You know what I'm saying? Never. And that's just my personal thing. I don't necessarily just volunteer my service, because you never know what a person put you into. I think that's just me, but that's a little off topic. But having you gotta keep your options open, but also know your value. Never settle for anything by keeping your options open. Know your value, and know what you're dealing with, and know what you're up against at all times. And knowing anything when I'm saying keeping your options open, is all about progression. You know what I'm saying? It's all about conquering things that might be a little hard, but little baby steps, you know what I'm saying, I'll get you there. Like the communication thing, you know what I'm saying? You might not be big on communication. I always wasn't the bigger communications person, but I learned over time to deal with it, and that came by keeping my options open, by dealing with different people, forcing myself to try to understand or deal with people I really didn't care for. You know what I'm saying? But it taught me lessons, and it made me understand how to deal with different people, and how certain people are, how they use certain mannerisms, and these selected group of people are like this, and it's not a black and white thing, it's an attitude thing. It's not about, how you start learning people, you get people skills, and you see things for what is more than what people say it is, about what it really is. So that's one thing I learned about, keeping my options open. That's another way I learned how to keep options open. Instead of closing myself off and getting away from people like I used to, I start getting into people and start, getting toe to toe and really trying to understand. Because that's one thing I know how to peep. I can peep shit, and my people skills and me understanding how to sit back and read certain things, I got a better understanding of how people are, and understanding it's not nowadays. It's not all about race. It's about attitude, and it's groups, it's pockets of people who got a certain attitude, and due to where they at, what's the word I'm looking for? Geographically, where they at, where they at territorially, their landscaping, They just so happen to be the same color. But these motherfuckers, you could put them anywhere. They could be around white people. Certain, I mean, that's one thing I'm starting to realize with people. It's just certain things about people, people that we and they don't understand about ourselves and themselves. But that come from having my options open and willing to deal with other people being